Okay, time for our first map-specific guide. This one's going to be Symbiotic Surface. I had a lot of good games from streaming the other day, so I figure I'll go over this one. Not just from my
Drop your stuff
perspective, though.
X.
I'm going to use a lot of free camera movements and drawing in order
Entering
to
the
help
mission area.
illustrate what you should be
The battle
doing.
starts in five,
So
four,
we're going to
three,
immediately let the
two,
announcer finish announcing.
one.
So immediately as a flanker, I am going to try and get into these flank positions, right? I'm going to try and access this space over here. This is why if you're set up on the point, you want to make sure that you have someone sort of keeping an eye on this direction to make sure if there's any flankers that might be coming from this direction. You don't want to leave that space completely uncontested. This area holding up here is fine, but as you start to get pressured out, all too often, especially in lower elo games, people hide in this entire area or just stand in this entire area, right? This area of the point is dangerous. There is no cover to stand if you're directly on the point. So after they start to push you, or if they start to flank you and you don't have any cover, you don't have somewhere to go to, you're going to die. Same is true where if they do a Doctor Strange portal, typically Doctor Strange likes to portal in this room over here. They access this high ground. And what people do is the defending team all stands on the point to think they have to defend it, but you don't need to defend it if they're not standing on it. So what you want to do is you want to then put yourself into different locations, either standing behind here, standing behind this cover, standing in these rooms, or even just under the blind spot here. There's a lot of different areas in which you can stand if they portal in this room, because what you want to do is you don't want to stand in the open and you want to get yourself to cover and force them to come out of this position and jump onto the point. And you can use this as an opportunity as a defensive team to either come in through these side angles here, underneath here, or come around through this way. But whatever you do when you are on defense on this team or on this point, you do not want to stand in the open here. And as they start to push and as they start to cause pressure, where you want to back up to is in this room over here. Same is true if you're playing support. A lot of times, if I'm playing Rocket, I'm playing Luna, or I'm playing Cloak and Dagger, when they have heavy dive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand back and I'm going to stand in this room specifically because of the fact that I have great overhead. I have a health pack over here. I can get to cover very easily and I can still hit my teammates with heals. Uh, as supports, you don't want to be standing up close if you don't have to be. It's understandable if you're at a Morlock or if you're Invisible Woman, you might need to be a little bit closer, but it just means you need to back up a little bit sooner as it starts to get more dangerous. But for those long range healers, this is going to be like one of your best spots to stand. Uh, anyway, you're going to see me start to come in from the flank here. On offense here, as my team is pushing up, you have all of these angles in front, right? What you're going to try and do is, as a team, you want to take different angles, right? You don't want to all go down the same lane. You want to sit there and try and, access different points, right? You're trying to push them back and cause enough damage and enough pressure to cause them to back up so you can get access to these angles over here and to this space over here, right? Even if you're a non-mobile DPS like Psylocke, you can still get access to these different angles, even up here, or even to these sides, right? You're always trying to find those off angles in which you can apply pressure and force them to back up, right? So you're definitely wanting to contest for all of this space. Right now, my team is going in, and we were down one early by the looks of it. Did you see me causing pressure and a distraction? You can see that, like, as the team starts to take enough damage, they start to back up and into this direction, right? But they don't have any cover here, so this is actually, like, really good for us. We get another pick, and that's what happens when you don't have cover. And as they start to fall, we start to get access to the point. You see how everyone backs up into this room eventually? The more pressure you cause the enemy team, the more they're going to want to naturally back up to find the safe place of cover. This is generally the place where they're going to go. This room or this room over here. Usually this one, though. Now, immediately after you cap this first point, what you want to do is try and, if you have the advantage, you have the numbers advantage, which you usually do, you want to push up and try and deny space from the enemy team and deny them from accessing the space. So that way the convoy pushes up for free. Space that you want to have access to is this space up here and this space up here. Because whoever has access to these top areas over here of high ground have really great off angles in which to shoot at the people down below. And if you're on offense, you have the ability to shoot down at people from up here. So you really want to make sure that you deny those angles. Here are other flank routes in which you can use to get around. This one I use more frequently. Uh, it takes a little bit longer, but it can work. And this one I don't like as much because of the fact that it doesn't lead to high ground. It can work, but I like this one a little bit more because it just naturally puts you closer to high ground. So you see me here. I am uh, going with and pushing up with my team and being ready to deny the space. I'm getting into a flank route to get ready to deny that high ground. My tanks are pushing up, not too far from their team. And here's me up on the high ground. I'm now denying the space from the Star-Lord. You see how we are now fighting up here in this high ground position? This is what it means to contest space. I am forcing him off of this high ground to try and have access to it so I can get the high ground advantage up here. You can see my team shooting from this direction here and me shooting from here. Great perpendicular off-angle position, right? This is the reason why high ground is so contested. It can also work on this side, but this side is a lot less safe. I cloak in, I try to get some advantage. This is the reason why, as I can shoot down from up above here, I can force the Loki totems, which means that even though I didn't necessarily get the kill, I caused enough pressure that I was able to pull out a very valuable resource. Seeing both of our supports had ults, I go on the offensive. And now, the more access you have to those things like the high ground, the off angles, the more you can do things like pull out those Loki totems, which I did, which made it much easier to sort of just like walk through the enemy very quickly. And now it's just clean up from there. They also copied Psylocke ult for some reason. They don't have the best defensive comp for this. So I immediately get blown up because I thought they were farther away. Now on, actually, I'll go back over this point real quick here. As the convoy moves up, you'll have access to more and more space, right? So as you're here and as the convoy is here, you'll have more access to like this space over here. This wall here, actually, I believe breaks. So you could break through this wall if you wanted to get access to this area. This creates more other off angles and positions to take. There is a health pack over here in this room if you ever needed that. Also, there is this location over here in which this goes up, but there's a health pack here. These are all things you want to be mindful of when trying to make your way around and create off angles. This final endpoint is much harder to get off angles with, but they do exist. So I do want you to be mindful of that and also where the health packs are. And always be playing around these little areas, these boxes for cover and whatnot. Also, of course, everyone knows that this thing will get closed off. So try not to all funnel to the convoy or the payload because of the fact, or all down the same path because of the fact that it's very easy to just funnel damage at everyone. You want to be taking separate angles. After that, you have this point here. You want to try and push up, and as the convoy pushes up, you'll have access to more space. Here, the problem, a lot of times this tunnel, everyone tries to funnel into this tunnel, and it creates sort of like a deadlock position. Like you're both just funneling damage at each other, and whoever has the more damage is the one that wins. So you have all of these off angling positions in which you want to try and get around and create separate areas in which to shoot from, right? So if the enemy team is defending here, they don't generally want to defend in the tunnel. They're going to be defending back here because they can use these things as cover, right? So the convoy, if it gets pushed up, might get pushed up to here naturally, and they defend this area. But because they're using this area as cover, you have off angles from here, and you have off angles on this side, both of which you can use for cover. Here, they're using ultimates to back up. We're causing pressure. Naturally, the convoy is sort of moving. As we're just applying damage, we are able to push them back and gives us payload space. This area here is all out in the open. There is no cover. It makes it very difficult. So then, you're relying on your supports just basically pumping heals into you. It can be very dangerous. Uh, you always, especially if you're like on mag or something, you have a poke tank, you want to be mindful of your cover and be rotating around it, right? You can be poking out here when you need to reload, you can pop back in, pop back out. And as you start to get pressured out because your team is falling over, you might need to rotate back and use these things as cover, right? There's also a lot of these flank routes around, plus a med pack back here. These are good little flank routes, are good little places to hide. Also, where this med pack is, there's a hole in this direction where you can drop down on top of it, or if you have mobility, you can jump back up. Another med pack back this way. This is a long flank route if you're on the offensive team. And on the defensive team, if you're a sniper or something, this might be a decent long line shot for you to be watching down. Here, as the convoy moves up, we get to use it as cover, but because of the fact that we are losing people, we are naturally falling over. So we'll fast forward a little bit. Here's that off-angling position I was talking about. This had a weird interaction between the server and client. So I actually on my screen, I rubber banded into like 3 separate locations. So on the server side, it looks like I just dashed into nothing. But right idea, just funky gameplay with the game code. So here, my team is making space through the use of support ults and through the use of the tank ults, and they're pushing them back. Just the sheer force of ultimates can be enough sometimes to force people backwards. So even if your ults don't get kills, sometimes it creates enough space that it does allow you access to more areas, which could get you more kills. So here you have another side on the right, which this area can be blocked off with this. You have another health pack over here. And this provides a decent flank route, but be careful if you don't have mobility and they block you off, you can get trapped in here. And this is great where as the convoy starts to move up, you can have access to this area and start applying an off-angle position over here, right? You can also do it from down here, like I was saying. This thing goes across and creates a bridge. Generally speaking, you can close this area off to give yourself cover, but as the convoy moves up and you have access to more space, you start to use the convoy as cover, and you can use this area as cover. What you're always doing is using this convoy as cover, and as the convoy moves up, you have access to more areas. There, I forced the ult. I know we're lost in the fight. I try to bait the Adam into a 1v1 in which I lose. So here you can see that as the convoy is moving back, they're going forward to try and retake the space. But you see that down this hall here is extremely dangerous as they're all funneled in here, which means that we could just pump damage in there and we're going to hit somebody. But they need to back out and use this area as cover. And the reason why Magneto dies here is because of the fact that, when you're standing out in the open here, there is no cover, and you need your healers to basically be pumping heals into you. But if your healers are reloading, or if you're Adam and you're low on heals, you don't have enough. And the moment that they run out and your shield and bubble run out, you don't have any cover. So this is the reason why you always want to be positioning yourself safely around where there is natural cover. Now that they are down one, they are forced to back up, especially considering that they have a solo tank. And a solo tank means that you cannot die as the solo tank. It makes it very easy for the enemy team to just walk right through you. Like this. So now we're walking up and we're taking space. After that one death, it's really easy to just take space. So now we are continuously taking more and more space. And as the convoy pushes up and you have access to more space and you're getting people to respawn, this is a good angle in which you can hold and try and keep them back. Of course, you don't want to hold up next to their spawn door because you just don't have an extreme disadvantage here. So what you're going to try and do is the tanks are going to try and hold this area, maybe even some DPS. And other DPS are going to try and contest this area here. This is also an area where enemy DPS might go DPS on the defensive team might go to try and access to get an off angle as well. Same for over here using this, or if you want an extreme flank, this would be another location which you would want to go. But you never want to all funnel in the same directions, right? Because if the tanks are here in their as they're in front and they're holding the space, let's say everybody's behind the tanks, everyone's shooting behind the tanks. Then all it takes is for one person, like let's say an Adam Warlock or Storm or a Bucky or Starlord or whoever else to access this location, get one cheeky pick, and completely turn the fight into their favor. As you saw, as soon as Magneto died, it was very easy to walk through the rest of their team. And now is think of that as the same way. What you're trying to do with these off-angle positions is get that one cheeky pick that allows you uh, to eventually just overpower the team through sheer numbers. Here, it's a all-out brawl on the point. We use the soul bond, we use our ultimates, and now it's just alt domino. Our cloak and dagger used her ult and got a great pick out of it, and now they're really on the defensive. That was a really fantastic strange ult though. And because of that one strange ult, he manages to flip the fight back in their favor. Now, once again, as the convoy has moved up much farther, they have less access to space, right? When the convoy is here, you can use it as space and cover, and you can use these as cover as well. But now that the convoy is all the way at the back, you don't want anyone back capping, and you do want to be careful and mindful of where it's naturally safe, right? And because of the fact that the convoy is pushed up, this is, by the way, why you do not want to let the convoy push up if you can avoid it. It's not worth dying for typically, but you don't want to let the convoy push up because of the fact that you lose access to a lot of ground. So here, as we're walking forward, we can naturally start to just overpower them. Our Captain America goes in to create some space and some value. Storm presses her ult. I was prepared for this moment, as you can see me here going invis and trying to pay attention to where my supports are. And she ults and I ult, which caused me to get a pick on the Storm, which means that now we have a huge advantage as we just follow up on the space that our Captain America had created. And because he gets out alive, it makes it for an easy cleanup, an easy pick on the Magneto. Once again, once you get that first pick, then after that, it's much easier to stagger the enemies and walk through the rest of the team. And that was around for us. On defense, it's pretty much the same thing. So here you can see I am using this area as natural cover. The enemy is all sort of pushing down this way. They have a Squirrel Girl, they have a Loki, and you can see how they're all taking different angles, right? You have your Adam Warlock over here, along with Mantis, and you have Magneto there with Loki, and Squirrel Girl up here. All three of them, even though they're non-mobile heroes, are taking separate angles, so they have different lines of sight in which they can see their opponents. And Strange is up here taking space as the tank, the main anchor tank in front. Here's me trying to contest for this off-angle position. This right here, what my supports are doing, I am not the biggest fan of, because once again, they are standing out here in the open where it is very easy to hit them. It is very easy to hit shots. And if they start to take too much damage, they have nowhere for cover. If Rocket is going to be spamming heals, he can be spamming heals from up here. He can be spamming heals from over here. He can be spamming heals from down here. There are a lot of different areas in which if you are playing support, you can provide value from safety. And a lot of times, even in high elo, you have supports who are just standing in front and just pumping heals in the most dangerous positions possible, right? You always want to be mindful of where your cover is and where you can stand and where you need to be. Because let's say you're playing Rocket, right? And all of a sudden you get, you get two tapped by Adam Warlock and you've got 10 health. Then what do you do when you have 10 health in this position? Where do you go? The answer is, even if you rocket dash, the odds of you getting to someplace safe are much slimmer. If he lands that third shot, you're dead. So that's the reason why, like, if you are playing support, You don't want to be standing in places where there's no cover. Just because you have self-heal abilities doesn't mean you want to be standing in the open. I end up dying a bunch this game. And once again, let's look back here. This is a good example of what I was just talking about. You have Hela and Penny right here. Penny can take a bunch of shots. Hela's out in the open. Hela took a couple of shots. Now where is she going to stand? You have Squirrel Girl shooting from this direction. You have Strange and the Magneto shooting from this direction, which means that she takes damage from two places at once and immediately gets blown up. On top of it, you have people aiming from this direction. Ella had absolutely no cover here, right? And that's the reason why she fell over. She had really bad positioning. She wasn't being mindful of where she could stand to provide value, but also where she needed to go in case it got bad. So because of that, they get a pick. Now my tanks are trying to contest this space, which once again, see here, now Rocket is in a better position. Look how much safer this is for Rocket. It's almost like he saw the hell and he's like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. So now he can provide value by just dancing back and forth between these areas of cover. I get run over by a Squirrel Girl ult. That's on me. And now that we're down in numbers, we use the Cloak and Dagger ult and the Penny ult. And I do believe we eventually just like lose this fight due to lack of numbers. Oh, they copied the Squirrel Girl. That's right. Once again, Rocket moves out when he doesn't need to. Rocket's shots don't have like a fall off range, so there's no reason to stand out in the open if all you're going to do is pump heals. Perhaps he was doing damage though, maybe. So here's me once again. You see how my positioning, I am always trying to be mindful of cover. I have this here I'm using as cover. I am looking at these guys and I'm creating an off angle from this position while my team might be shooting from this position. But there's always areas where I'm trying to use cover, and then Mantis lands a really good sleep. I'm trying to follow up on what my teammate is doing, but I get blown up. Too far out in the open, numbers down. I get res, they use totems. It's kind of a waste. We get out because it can't be won at this point. I'm looking in position trying to see if I need to touch. I debated it and it didn't work. Here, if you have access to this area here, this area is great for high ground advantage. You can try and keep them. Like if the convoy isn't pushed up and you still have people alive, you can hold these areas really well. This high ground is one of my favorite positions to be, especially as a mobile hero like Psylocke. This area is a little bit more dangerous. Remember that like wherever the direction you want to retreat to is sort of the direction you want is the safer one. Like you can have an off angle over here, but if you're not a super mobile hero, it's going to be very dangerous where if they start to take the space and you don't rotate back here fast enough, you're going to die for it. So what I like to do is stand up here a lot of times in this position. If I know that it's safe because my team has the advantage or causing enough pressure, I might go down this way to cause this pressure or cause pressure from this angle and off angle. But you're always trying to rotate around these different pieces of cover, right? And this is exactly why. See how I can get that pick and I can also just stand behind here and reload for safety. And now I can shoot the tanks in the back. And I get the next pick again. And now my team unfortunately got hit by the Strange. The Strange, who was landing some really big Strange ults, which was nice on his part. Fast forward a little bit. Fast forward some more. They pushed me back really far. And because of it, it's going to take me a while to rejoin my team. Unfortunately, our Cloak and Dagger got hit by the Mag ult. She thought she had an exit, but she didn't quite. Here's me trying to contest this space and this off angle. Once again, always trying to utilize and take advantage of those off angles and create space where I can. Even if my team is dying, I'm still trying to contest those areas of space. I go all the way back for the health kit because of the fact that I just didn't have any other option. Anything else wasn't safe, and I was trying to be ready to touch in case my team was going to recontest, and they are, which means that I could regroup back in. And now, once again, here I am using this little area as cover as my team is here on main contesting the point. I can be over here to apply pressure. Every time you see me rotate, I am constantly rotating with the idea of where my natural cover is going to be, right? Here, even through there, I rotated all the way around from starting here. I rotated through. I used the convoy as cover. I rotated to this as cover, and I rotated this area as cover. I am always using different areas of cover and finding the safest route. And now that they're pushing up, I am contesting more of this space and not allowing them to walk forward, getting more staggers. And now I'm walking back up to get more into position, and I believe I died to the Loki here who was invis. Yeah, well played on his part. I get into a position to flank, and I've never had Loki do this to me before, so kudos to him. I've learned a lesson after today. But I was trying to get into position to flank early, and that kind of like really messed me up. We end up holding the second point, so I'm not going to go over too much more. But yeah, as you can see, you want to have the convoy move up, and as the convoy moves up and moves forward, you have access to more areas, and you want to defend those areas and fight for those areas, both as a DPS or tank or as a support even. You don't want to give people access to these high ground positions because it makes it very easy to find these positions which you can get a lot more value. You never want your team to always be all together and just all down main, just pumping damage at each other. You always want to be trying to take separate, more efficient angles because if you're all standing next to each other, especially against someone like a Squirrel Girl, you're all going to be taking damage together. You want to be near your allies within the LOS of your team, but not directly next to them, so that way you're not all taking damage together. These other off angle positions can provide you a lot more value. So, say for instance, the enemy team is here, right? Or the enemy team is here and they want to try and recontest this point, right? They would want to try and find different ways of providing value. Like, say, from up here, this is a good position. If you had someone that was a little bit more mobile, or you wanted to get someone who had like a really good flank, it would probably be even Adam Warlock in this position, or maybe even Squirrel Girl. She could use her mobility to jump up here. Uh, and she could get this angle and she could get a cheeky pick on someone over here. Because, like you've seen, hopefully from my other videos or what you've seen me show here, once you get one pick, it's very easy to turn that fight in your favor and just immediately sort of like walk through the rest of the team. So, by accessing these other areas, you can see that everyone is looking forward. Everyone's very distracted. If you land one pick on someone who's the tanks are distracting, then it's very easy to take that 6v5 and turn it into a 6v4 and then eventually turn it into a one fight. Uh, so yeah, what you're always trying to do is gain access by pushing the convoy forward, by gaining access to these different side routes and getting to locations in which you can see the enemy and you can see their backs turned and get a cheeky pick to where if they try to get behind cover, right? Like if they're taking damage from Magneto and Strange in front, and this let's say this Moon Knight who's already half health, he tries to get behind here to cover to safety. If you had somebody who was already up here and saw that happen, now as he starts to try and retreat, he has no cover available. This is the reason why off angling as DPS or as different heroes is so effective. You can do it as Adam, you can do it as DPS, you can do it as tank. Uh, this is the reason why it helps players win games, and it's the reason why uh, you know players who are top 500 to players who are pro can so consistently win games. They're always trying to find areas in which they're where they shoot from gets them a lot more value. It's not just their mechanical abilities, but also where they're positioning themselves so that way they have the advantage and the drop on the enemy team before they can do anything. Because a lot of times, even in my games, even with my teams, I will typically be the only one off angling on my team and contesting that space. And just like right here, I had died, and my entire team, my entire team is looking forward, and no one is really even contesting these other areas of space. If I was here, I'd be up here shooting down at them from here because look how the enemies walking up and the advantage I would have here. Uh, anyway, that sort of covers the sort of I think like gist of Symbiotic Surface, hopefully for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. But yeah, if you guys really enjoy this type of content or you have any suggestions on how I can improve it, please let me know. But otherwise, thank you for watching.